Hey guys, and welcome to Dan-gler Sea Fishing. Tonight I'm fishing Shepherd's Chine. Now let's get fishing.
Daddy's going fishing.
Not again.
Got a new rod and I got some new line. Got a boat, it's just about time to head on out to my favorite spot. It's just about fishing time. Bee bye, bicky bye, bicky bye, bo, bicky bye, bicky bye, bicky boo. Bee bye, bicky bye, bicky bye, bo, bicky.
So tonight our targets are congers, bass and rays. There is other species that come in down here. You can get some good bull huss down here and you can get some good smooth hounds down here, but I think it's a little bit early for both of them really to turn up tonight, but you never know, we might see some. So now that we know what we're going for, let's have a look at the baits I've got tonight. So I'm keeping the baits pretty simple tonight. So I've brought some anchovies, I've brought some squid, and I've brought a couple of spider peelers. My main aim of tonight will probably be to try and scratch around and pick up a pout to add to this collection, and we'll see what we can find. So down here the ground is mixed ground. There is some rocky bits, but we're fishing into a bit of a deeper area where we are. There's a bit of a rocky outcrop just to the right hand side, and there's another rocky area just off to the left. And the ground is generally this sort of like pea shingle at the edges, and then it goes into sand and shingle further out. So let's have a look at what we're using tonight. So tonight I've got my Pen Mag 525s loaded up with Night 25-pound line with a 70-pound shock leader, and I've got them on my Tronics Pro Xenon C6 low diameters. So one thing you might notice is a rarity, I'm not wearing a hat at the moment. That's mainly because I've only brought my woolly hat down, but because it's a bit of a trek down to get here, I wanted to keep the weight down as much as possible, so I couldn't be bothered to bring a second hat. But I will have a hat on once it gets dark. So the rigs I'm going to start off with are very short pulley pennels. So I've got 2.0 hooks on these ones. I'm going to send out a squid bait and probably a crab bait to start off with. And then later on, I will switch over to using the anchovies on these as well, and possibly a pout if I can pick one up. I will probably go round to using a scratching rig later to try and pick up some fresh pout to use to try and see if I can find a conger, and I'll probably up the size of the hooks and the strength and probably go over to the braided 300-pound line once I start targeting the congers later. So I'm just going to send a whole squid out. I'm just going to bound it up on my 2-hook baiting tool. And then what I'm going to do is, once I've got this all whipped up, I'm leaving the head on this one. Normally I'd whip the head off just to stop anything nipping at it, but I want quite a large bait here. And I'm just going to put my bottom hook just coming out of the top of the head here, and then my top hook just into the top just here. And there's the spider peeler. And there's the spider peeler bait that's going to go out next. So we've got our 2 baits in the water. We've got our rods out, we've got our drag set. So let's enjoy the sunset. So I'm just going to send out a scratching rig. So for my scratching rig, I've just got a 2-hook clip down, nice short snood so that we don't get into too much trouble. On that top hook, I've just got some crab legs that I've just whipped onto there. And then on the bottom, I've just got a squid head that I've just whipped up with the hook just sticking out the bottom there. So I've just got our scratching rig out on the green one. We're going to see if we can pick up a pout or something that we can pop out in a bit. Fresh bait always seems to work better than frozen bait in most scenarios. So it's always worth trying to pick up a small bait fish to use. So tonight there's something really weird going on with the tides, because we've actually got 3 hours down and then we've got 9 hours up. I'm used to double tides being in the Solent because of the way that the water flows in from either end and it causing a double tide, but I'm not familiar with them being double tides over in the English Channel. So if anyone has a bit of an idea of what's going on, please leave me a comment and let me know what's going on, because it's been bothering me all day and I can't really work out what it is. So the next bait I'm putting out is half an anchovy, and I've split up the middle of the body there so that I can open this out and turn it inside out. And then I'm just going to wrap a piece of squid over that entrance area and wrap all of that up into a nice short bait. I want to keep it smallish so I can still get good distance on it, but I want this to be a nice bloody bait, and I'm going to pop that on the 300-pound braid rig and see if we can find a conger on that one. So there we are, that's all whipped up. So as you can see, the squid is just wrapped into the inside of that body and then over the other side. And then I've just got them 2 hooks coming out there and lots of blood either end, but it's nice and contained so that it shouldn't bleed out too quick. Well guys, we've got a fish. Well guys, we've got a fish. And although this may look like our usual friend, it's actually not, because this is a bullhuss. As you can tell by those pointy little flaps on its nose, and if you look, it's got some pretty big teeth on this one. They're also slightly different in colour, but that doesn't necessarily point you towards a bullhuss. It's the nasal flaps that are the giveaway. But that's our first bullhuss of the year, and let's get this guy back and look for some more. Well, first fish of the night, a lovely little bullhuss. Can't moan at that. And it's not a dogfish. The fishing must be changing. We must be getting in the spring. It's definitely getting warmer. So our little bullhuss there, he came in on the anchovy and squid wrap that we made earlier. And bullhuss and dogfish, they are very partial to a fishy bait. They will pick up anchovy, mackerel, sand eel. They will also come in on squid, but they are more partial to the fishier baits. So let's see if we can find a bigger one. Well guys, that's bait sorted. 2 pout in 1 hit. So now we can stop the scratching rig and we can start whacking some bigger baits out. So now that we know that there's some pout out there and we've managed to catch a few, we can whack this pout out knowing that there's probably going to be something feeding off it. So I've just halved this pout, I've taken all the fins off, and then I've just got the head, and I've got my bottom hook, which is a 5/0, sticking out, and then a 5/0 circle just in the top there, and that's going to go out as my next bait. So with the other bit of our pout, what I've done is I've just split down the tail end, and I've just got a nice fillet off, and then I've just doubled it up with a bit of anchovy fillet. I'm just going to bind the two together with both of the flesh parts just facing out on both of them. And that's going to be a nice fishy bait that I'm going to put out there, see if we can find a ray or maybe a conger on that. Little bit of a smaller bait on this one. So the one that's got the head on is probably going to be more like for a bass or a large conger, whereas this one is more like a ray and some of the smaller congers. Well guys, third fish of the night, a little conger. Not quite the size that we're after, but goes to show how greedy these are because that came in on a pretty big bait. But let's get him out there. Let's try and find the bigger version. So the next bait I'm going to send out is a half a spider crab, which has been wrapped in the body of a squid. And then I've just popped that on my pennel. As you can see, there's loads of scent to come out of that one. And that's popped on our 300-pound braid that we've had a couple of fish on now. So we'll see what that can bring in. Well guys, we're not really getting any definitive bites at the moment. Seems to have gone a bit quiet, but we are right at the bottom of the tide. There's not a lot of tide movement. Stuff like congers do like a bit more movement, and the bigger ones definitely like it when there's a lot more flow in there. So hopefully as that tide starts to push up, maybe we'll get a bit more movement on there. But it is small tides tonight, so there's not a huge amount of movement. But hopefully that might bring something out to play. We'll have to wait and see. I am putting the hard graft in for you guys. I'm getting all them baits out regularly, and I'm also varying where they're going, varying the rigs. I'm not putting scratching baits out. I'm trying to avoid that. We picked up a couple of pout earlier, and that's all we needed. We're not in a match, so again, no real need to keep using scratching rigs. So we'll keep them big baits going out and we'll see what we can find. Well guys, the fishing's been a bit quiet, and we have added a new species to our channel. So let's have a celebratory chocolate, and tonight I've got a 12. Well guys, I think I'm going to call that my last cast, so hopefully we get something on these now. Last bait I've just put out is just a whole squid. Might be lucky, might pick something up. But that wind's starting to push up, and it is a school night. I've been at work all day, so it's time to call it a night where the fishing's a bit slow. Reserve myself for a little bit more next week. So I'm going to start packing up a few bits. Hopefully we'll see these rods go, and I'll be able to bring you to that. If not, I'll start closing in a second. Well guys, I think that's about it from me tonight. It's been a bit of a hard one again. Winter fishing this year has just been a struggle. It's been hard work trying to find better fish, and the sessions just they start okay and just seem to fizzle out, which is pretty much what it's done tonight. But we'll keep trying, we'll keep plugging on. Soon we'll be in the smoothhound season and bream and all of them fish, and then as we know, it all gets a bit more exciting during that period. Anyway, if you are enjoying my videos, please don't forget to like and subscribe, and until the next video, I'll see you then.